Hey guys, so a bit of an exciting one today. We've finally tracked down a car that we can use as a bit of a project for the channel and to sort of show what you can do to get involved in motorsport. The goal was just to find something that was of a reasonable budget, had decent aftermarket support, and is something that I'm reasonably familiar with. You should probably do the same if you're looking for a project car as well. Make sure that you're reasonably familiar with it, or be prepared to learn either way. So that if there's people around that track these cars, use them for this sort of stuff, make sure that you can sort of seek some assistance from Facebook groups, forums, things like that, or specialists in the industry as well. So here we go, check it out. So I chose a three-door Mark 5 Golf GTI made in 2008. I chose this one with a DSG for one of the intended uses. So as you can see, front end impact on this particular car. One of the reasons why I chose a Golf GTI is there's fantastic parts availability for it, not only new but also second-hand. You can generally pick up a lot of the great performance parts on Facebook Marketplace reasonably cheap. eBay, Gumtree, there's a lot of them around being wrecked on a regular basis or being parted out. As you can see, interior is pristine condition, basically no airbags deployed, which is great. We can sort of see basically from the rear point onwards there's no damage pushing back into the doors. The gaps look pretty good. It's also nice low case, 125,000, which for 2008 looks good. We're looking in the front. The rad support's definitely destroyed. We're definitely going to need pretty well everything forward from the engine. It doesn't look like it's pushed too far back, so that's great. So when looking from external, again, it doesn't look too bad. Chassis rails look to be reasonably intact. No damage to the roof, which I was really thankful about. Low impact. Interior, you can see that it's had a little bit of a life, but nothing too bad. Again, just another shot. No airbag support, which is great. It looks like it was well taken care of before the accident, which was quite unusual for these cars. A lot of them are used and abused. We've got our new project here. As you can see, she's a little bit worse for wear. Um, this is a prime candidate for us because, I mean, it's only a front-end collision. The chassis rails themselves are intact, given that we've got no airbags deployed from what we can see. We'll be investigating that a bit further shortly too. Goal is to have the front off this today, and we'll see what we can do to get it sorted. So once we got the car in-house, we had a quick squiz at what we were going to need, and as a quick look, it was pretty obvious we're going to need at least a couple of quarter panels. We're going to need a bumper, we're going to need a radiator support, an intake, a bonnet, probably the bonnet hinges, as well as the headlights. So basically, I went out to the local wrecker, and thankfully they had enough bits there in the right colour that we could pretty well assemble this car in one go without having to send anything off for paint. We'll kick off with the time lapse here. Basically, we're going to rip every single part off the front of this car that's damaged so that we can start popping on some of the new panels. Basically, though, what we're planning on doing is to get every single damaged panel off the car so that we can see how far that damage extends to and whether we need any additional parts that we haven't actually picked up already. So basically, you can see me pulling the headlights out, and we're trying to get the front bumper off so that the rad support can come out of the way as well. So we'll potter through just getting that out of the way, and I'll leave you with it watching for a little bit, and before you know it, we'll see how far that damage extends to, which is pretty much just take this radiator off, and there we are. So now I've got the front of the car. You can kind of see the extent of the damage. As it looks at the moment, the two chassis rails look to be somewhat intact, but as we sort of got a little bit closer, there was a little bit of a crack in that lower charge pipe off the intake manifold, so it doesn't look like it was leaking, but it's a case of let's just replace it and see. But as you sort of look around, you can see that that upper mount for the radiator support does have a slight tweak in it. It's just one of those things. We're probably going to have to tweak that back, or we'll have to get a professional to have a look into that. Fortunately, I still have a car that we can reference to take measurements to determine exactly where that belongs. It looks like the other side also has a little bit of a tweak. It's like it's pushed it a bit, but that's something that we'll address if and when it becomes a necessity. We'll just make sure that the radiator support fits up correctly for the meantime, and we'll kind of go from there. But other than that, we're pretty happy with the damage that's been on this car. There's nothing else that's sort of majorly damaged. The AC compressor looks okay, alternator looks okay, and the intake manifold looks okay. So that's great. So now we've got the car down on the ground. We're basically going to run through and do the quarter panels and try and reassemble this front section again so that it starts to look a bit more like a car. But I mean, it drove off the truck, so that's awesome. We've got a misfire that we're going to have a look into, and we've also got to have a look at the codes that it spat out, so we'll investigate that momentarily. While I got it up in the air, I'll switch those wheels out too, because I'll be selling those to try and assist in funding the project. So we got the front pack together. As you can see, she's looking pretty schmick. So, onto the interior. I don't know what it went on here, but my OCD won't allow that to be. So I've got that much better. As you can see, we've got a misfire. I guess we're going to have to look into this. We don't have a check engine light, so diving into the engine bay, I guess we go. That brownie looking thing shouldn't be torn. That's actually meant to be sealed. With that torn like that, you aren't going to get any boost. It's going to be quite a horrid experience, basically driving a normally aspirated Golf GTI. So I thankfully had another turbo up on the shelf. It's about $197 to buy a new one of these, so it's not too bad anyway. And I just pulled a good used one out of another turbo that I had sitting there from when we replaced a turbo on a car a few years back. I was actually surprised I still had one. We've finally got it running nice and smooth. We've still got a light warning and an ABS warning, but we'll investigate that shortly. That wasn't there previous, so it's probably just a code clear away, given we've been pulling batteries out and swapping them and things like that. Sounds so much better. We're going to pop all this back together, put our MAF wiring back together,
but the root cause in the end was that a fuse was blown. But I mean, you kind of expect that when you've had a accident with the car. Sometimes things get shorted to ground when they shouldn't do. So alas, we're operational, boys. Pretty exciting at the moment. We've got the silver car out of the shed and we're pretty well happy with where we've got it as far as the visual is concerned. The next thing that we've got to do is we've kind of got to go over it and see what we need to do safety-wise before we take it to the track. So we'll be checking brakes out, we'll be checking any oil leaks, any water leaks, things that could potentially cause us problems with the car. So, but as you can see, the car is looking really, really schmick.
Here is our completed 3-door Mark 5 GTI. So our costs thus far on this car have been pretty reasonable. So first up, we picked the car up. We won it at auction for $2,000, and after fees, that ended up at about $2,440. Obviously, I had to go pick it up, so there was a bit of fuel involved and time there, but that's neither here nor there. Time is effectively free. Then I purchased all of the parts from the front end to get that repaired from the local wrecker in the correct colours for $500. I know I got a bit of a deal there, but that was a bit of a win for us. I bought some GTI quarter inserts that you can see in this particular photo down in the bottom left. This also has some vented holes in it, just for future proofing if we ever put oil coolers or DSG coolers in. So that was $32.12 from a seller on eBay out of Sydney. So our total cost thus far is $2,972.12, which, keeping it under $3,000, is pretty good thus far. Now, into our next episode, what we'll be doing is we'll be going over and checking the car and doing some basic servicing such as an oil change, a filter change, checking out our brakes, making sure that they're going to be up to the challenge of doing our first event. We'll be doing yet another oil change, as unfortunately the rays that I popped on, the tyres on them aren't much chop really, but for rolling it around and looks, they were perfect for the job. We'll be installing a fire extinguisher and doing the mounting for that as well. We'll be installing tow hooks front and rear for the events that we need to be doing. And we'll also be doing our first events entry, which will be coming up. We're quite excited about that. So tune in next time and you'll see what's going on there.